My name is Jason Buck. I'm Business Development Director here at Lean Techniques. If this is your first time here, welcome. Hopefully everybody got the message that this Lean Bites is going to be a little bit different. We're going to run 90 minutes today, have 6 breakout sessions, and everyone needs cameras on so we can have everyone introduce yourselves. April Fools, don't drop. Just kidding. I had to throw something in there today. So this is our usual Lean Bites. It's a short 16-minute talk where we're going to work to provide you with some simple, practical tips and techniques so you can start applying within your organization today. Quick housekeeping items. If you have any questions throughout the talk, please just drop them in the chat and we'll address them at the end if time allows, or we can put those through with an email follow-up as well. And at the end, there is going to be a survey that automatically pops up. If you could fill that out, that would be awesome. It gives us a lot of insight into how things are going and what you might want to see in the future. So that would be great. So with that, let's get started. Very excited to introduce Lean Techniques Chief Growth Officer and my boss, Danielle Brommer. Danielle's going to be speaking on powering brilliance and what she's learned about leadership so far. So Danielle, take it away.
All right. Thanks all. Good morning. Happy first day of April, as Jason pointed out, and thank you all for spending time with me today. First day of Q2 for many of us, and it's the 14th anniversary of LT. So good news to share there. I'm so excited to be here with all of you, leaders, future leaders, and brilliant minds in the making. And I'm here today just to remind you to share my personal experience on leadership over the last 3 years. And while I do believe you need to learn through experience, I'm hopeful that one or all of my hard-learned lessons and actionable tips and techniques can help, or possibly just validate you're well on your way to successful leadership. When I first stepped into leadership role, I had a belief that a lot of us carry, I'm sure. I needed to be the smartest person in the room. I thought leadership meant having all the answers, solving all the problems, and being the go-to expert. This has been challenging in my role as Chief Growth Officer, as I'm responsible for disciplines that I do not have experience in, or expertise in, I should say, not just experience: marketing, customer success, and sales. And that really meant that I needed to build a team to help me in building and achieving our organizational goals and depend on each of them to make that happen. I have 2 moments that really stuck out to me that I'm sure you can all relate to, and sets the stage for the 5 key lessons and actions I'm sharing with you here today. The first is when I came into the team with a plan. And I mean, this was a fully built out plan. I had OKRs. I wanted to demonstrate that I had a handle on what we needed to do. I was vested in the success of our team and how we were gonna make a real impact. And questions started peppering in, of course. How are we going to do this? Have you thought about this? Where do these numbers come from? And I just went on the defense. I was justifying every decision, describing how I imagined we would get there together. And after the rollout, I could sense, obviously, it felt pretty flat. And I went up to a team member and asked, what went wrong? What could I have done to get people better rallied around the plan? And he said, Danielle, did you ever think about answering those questions with, I'm not quite sure? This is just the North Star. This is just the plan to get us going. But I trust all of you in this room here today to help me come up with a how and activate. That was a huge sigh of relief for me. The other memorable moment was when a team presented an idea I hadn't helped shaped. And it was great, like phenomenal. My first instinct was to jump in and tweak it. I should have been more critical. I should have been ready with some feedback for them. I should have helped lay out the plan. What was I even really doing around here? But I realized they've got this, and I don't need to make it better. I need to make it possible. So these were just 2 of many moments that helped reframe how I saw leadership. It's not about being the most brilliant person. It's about powering the team's brilliance. And what I really mean by that is, while I'm not an engineer, I've never built a sales organization or a marketing team, I do have experience to bring to the table with confidence, and I can shine a light on those that I knew would help me, my team, and LT be more successful. What follows are my top 5 lessons that have helped me grow from a strong individual contributor into a more confident leader. So let's hop in. Lesson 1, let it go. One of the hardest shifts for new leaders is letting go of the work. We're used to doing things ourselves, and frankly, we're usually really good at it. That's why we're all here. But here's the truth. If you're still doing all the work, you're not actually leading. It's likely someone else may not do it just as you would have. That happens. Let it go. Holding on to control feels safe, but it signals that you don't believe in others or your ability to lead. The insight here: if your value is still tied to being the best individual contributor, you'll struggle to scale. And worse, you'll hold your team back. And you'll likely drive yourself and everyone around you crazy. It's not reasonable to do it all. Leadership means stepping away from the execution and stepping into empowerment. Your job becomes coaching, guiding, and unlocking other people's potential, not proving your own. Your action here today, identify one thing that you're still holding on to. Maybe it's a project, a decision, a detail. Give it to someone else. Let it go. Delegate it, coach them, and most importantly, get out of the way. Admittedly, this is one that I struggle with quite a bit and I have to work on daily. I'll catch myself chiming in with answers, filling the silence. I'm notorious for that. I come up with decisions in the absence of one. And I think it's really easy to spot in others. I find this common in a lot of leaders that I work with today. And it's probably because I'm really cognizant of it myself. But often these folks seem like they're the drivers and they're the ones that are really trying to make decisions. But what they haven't done is made space or even maybe asked others to step in and help them. And what I've found is that you end up becoming the blocker for progress. You slow people down and you slow your organization down. Attempting to prove yourself constantly is exhausting and doesn't give space to the team to contribute in a meaningful way. It's difficult to lead and do. One or both will be compromised. Lesson 2, everyone has an opinion, and I mean everyone. I've called it my personal peanut gallery through the months, and it's a lot of noise. The moment you step into leadership, you're on the radar. Everyone, every move, every word, every decision is often under some scrutiny. The insight here, leadership exposes you to constant judgment. If you try to please everyone, you'll please no one. It's obviously important to understand whose opinion truly matters. You've got your leaders, your customers, your team. You have several stakeholders that I'm sure that you're hoping to make happy. But remember, you're not here to be liked. You're here to lead. I suggest you focus on finding validation in the impact you're making, not approval. An example I have here, I didn't lead with confidence when I was setting and driving the direction for one of our teams. While the team was doing well, our stakeholders had opinions about how we could do better, what success looked like to them, and little by little, doubt crept in, and I began to rethink the whole strategy I put forth. Eventually, I conceded to the opinions. I thought I must have been misinformed. And since we weren't delighting everyone, maybe I did need to pivot. The concession backfired. My team was confused, unsure of what step to do next, and we were ultimately failing and perpetuating the perception that we didn't know what we were doing or going to be able to hit our goals. And what I learned through all of this was that I didn't do a good enough job of coaching up and coaching out and making visible all the foundations and infrastructure we'd set up and we're making momentum on. Eventually, and painfully, I course corrected, and with some feedback integrated and compromises made, of course, I was able to get us back on track. The silver lining through it all was the path forward was ultimately better. We were more able to clearly define our roles and outcomes. We built trust with our internal stakeholders and had their buy-in to give us space to do what we had set out to do. I took away from this months-long endeavor opinions, also known as feedback, is fuel to get better. Take it for that. Use it to your advantage, not you and your team's demise. In the midst of this, I received an email from James Clear's 321. If you don't follow it, I suggest you do. He often has several inspiring quotes that kind of gets you through the week. And this one really stuck out to me because it was in the prime of this particular scenario. He said, if you want to avoid criticism, create less. If you want to avoid irrelevance, create more. Your actions here to take away today, pause before reacting. Criticism stings, but emotional responses do not help. Seek perspectives, diverse ones at that, and take what's useful, but you own the final decision. And reflect, adjust, and move forward. Learn, but do not let opinions derail you. Lesson 3, own your seat at the table. There's a quiet voice that a lot of us hear, especially early in our leadership journey. It whispers, do I really belong here? What if I mess this all up? I'm not qualified to be here. And yes, that's imposter syndrome. We've all heard it. It's been in all the news sources, of course, but that voice isn't a sign you're not ready or a proof you're unqualified. It's actually a signal that you're growing. The insight, someone saw your potential. They gave you a seat at the table. You earned it. Now it's your job to believe in yourself enough to use it. And here's what's often overlooked about this. Your team takes their cues from you. When you show up with confidence and not ego, you create space for others to do the same. And when you shrink yourself, that energy spreads too. I just had a moment actually last Friday that a team member reached out to me after an internal presentation I gave. And I was, of course, attempting to deflect attention and downplay some recognition. And he reached out to me and just said, let me offer this perspective to you. When I see someone that is a leader use negative talk, it gives me a moment of pause because I know the influence that you may have on other people. So your action here, next time you feel that self-doubt creep in, pause and ask, what's the strength or unique perspective I bring to this table? And more importantly, how do I want to show up for my team? I want to make these folks proud. The quote I have at the bottom here, I've been referencing for years. Yes, I like quotes. People say things much more eloquently in many ways, but this is something I've shared for several fellow leaders, and I think it's just something you all need to hear. Imposter syndrome is a paradox. Others believe in you. You don't believe in yourself, yet you believe yourself instead of them. If you doubt yourself, shouldn't you also doubt your judgment of yourself? When multiple people believe in you, it might be time to believe them. Own that. Lead from there. That's what your team needs from you. Lesson 4, don't go it alone. No one really prepares you for how isolating leadership can feel. One day you're in the mix with your peers, and the next you're the one everyone's looking to for answers, direction, and decisions. And often you're not getting all the credibility or limelight that you once were as an individual contributor. You're responsible for the team now, their outcomes, the culture, and sometimes it can feel like there's no one really to talk to about it. The insight here, the higher you go, the harder it gets to hear the truth. Not because people are trying to deceive you, but because they either assume you have it all figured out or they're not sure how to challenge you. You might even stop asking, and that's dangerous. I do not suggest this. Great leaders don't go it alone. And guess what? No one expects you to. It's a hard lesson to learn. Great leaders build a support system, a few trusted voices outside the day-to-day who will give it to you straight. Mentors, coaches, friends in similar roles, people who will challenge you, who remind you who you are when things get noisy, who will say, actually, you might be wrong here, or you got this, keep going. You need both of those perspectives in your life. The action here is just think of one person today that this could be this for you. Someone who'll be honest and supportive and unafraid to tell you the hard truth. Ideally, it's not someone on your team. It's often not even someone in your organization. It could be a former boss and a peer at another organization, or possibly someone you hire. I've paid for that kind of support more than once, and it's honestly worth every penny. Lesson 5, it's not about you, it's about them. We spent much of this time in the last 4 slides focusing on what you can do to be an impactful leader. And of course, it starts with you, but you need to remember it's all for them. Leadership is a great responsibility. Great leaders stop blaming and shaming and focus on what their team needs. While it's easy to focus on all the things you could have, should have, it's no longer about you. It's about them, and it will be from here on out. Your insight, when something's not working, we often turn external. We blame others. I can't believe they did this. How didn't they understand my instructions? We've all been here before. Then, when we get done blaming everyone else, we eventually turn inward. We blame ourselves. Shame. I should have coached more. I should have been clearer. I should have known better. Sound familiar? Blame and shame are not effective leadership strategies. Blame makes everyone around you fearful, and shame and self-judgment doesn't make you a better leader. It just keeps you stuck. While accountability is important, there's a difference between reflection and rumination. At some point, you need to step above the line, and you need to take responsibility for how you move forward, move beyond the missed deadline or the last deal. On this slide, I have a format of PDF, of the responsibility process. It's hung up throughout our office, and it's something that we believe strongly in here at Lean Techniques. It's something that I suggest that you all read if you want to go pick up a book, Christopher Avery's book. But really what this is outlining is a mental model that explains how people take or avoid responsibility. It outlines a series of mindsets we typically move through when faced with problems. You start with denial, of course. There's no problem at all. Nothing to see here. Blame, it's someone else's fault. You justify, it's because of some external reason. The project is late because the client kept changing requirements. Totally understandable, and heard that one before. Then you turn to shame. It's my fault. I'm bad. I've spent a lot of time in this space before. You turn to obligation right after. You have to do this now out of obligation strictly. And eventually you need to take responsibility. You say, I own it and I can choose how to respond. And the point there is the choice, right? As soon as you change your mindset around how you're choosing to do something, how you're choosing to respond, you feel like you have more control over the situation. And the goal is to really recognize when you're stuck in the lower levels and move towards responsibility. You really owe it to your team to get there as soon as possible. I have another book here, Extreme Ownership. It's another famous book that I think talks about leadership, and it really focuses more on the ownership mentality. And this is really focused on it's your responsibility, again, to make sure that everyone on your team understands the mission and is willing to help you and your team meet your objectives. But it's on you as the leader of that team. So your actions here, I suggest that you privately coach and you publicly protect. Do not publicly lay blame on your team or shame yourself. It casts doubt and doesn't help anyone win. Stop the spiral. The next time you find yourself in a spiral, they should have known, I should have, pause and reframe. How do I step into my responsibility? Maybe it's setting clear expectations. Maybe it's influencing above you. Maybe it's choosing to move on or simply do nothing. That's a choice. Leadership isn't about perfect hindsight. It's about adaptive foresight. You can't serve your team if you're stuck blaming everyone in every circumstance or shaming yourself. You owe it to them to get unstuck and move forward. And because I couldn't resist to keep it to just 5, I had to add one bonus slide in here, which is really just something I think is obvious, but needs to be reinforced and repeated. Leadership is heavy. There's pressure that comes with leading. Decisions feel bigger, mistakes hit harder, and the spotlight is real. And if you're not careful, the weight of leadership can wear you down. The best leaders realize this, and they don't have to be perfect or invincible. They make routines to carry the weight without breaking. So a few things to consider here for you. Not every fire is your fire. You do not need to be the first responder. Separate performance from self-worth. You're going to mess up. You're going to receive negative feedback. It's not personal. Learn and move forward. And then create a resilience or decompression routine, as I like to call it. Maybe it's running, therapy, having a good vent session with someone who will listen. Regardless, choose one or all of these and make sure you're managing your energy properly and the mental load that comes with leadership. It's worth it. So here's a few books that I've read over the last couple of years that really shaped my leadership style. I've referenced these throughout the course of these last few slides, and we'll plan to include in the email recap that you all receive once we commence this session. And a recap, of course, of the 5 lessons that I've learned. I'm really hoping that I impressed on all of you that leadership isn't about perfection. It's not about having all the answers or doing it all yourself. It's about evolving how you empower others and how you show up and how you stay grounded when things get messy, which they always will. I can promise you that. I'm going to suggest that you don't wait until you feel ready to lead. You start with what you've got, where you are, reflect on what you heard today, maybe pick one of these actions or maybe all and go try them. Maybe you delegate something. Maybe you reframe feedback. Maybe you just remind yourself you've earned your seat at the table. Whatever it is, do it. Not perfectly, but intentionally. And if I could leave you with one final thought, it's this. It's not about being the most brilliant person. It's about powering the team's brilliance. You do not have to have all the answers. You have to know where to find them. And often when you turn to your team and unlock their potential, you will power brilliance exponentially. That's the mindset shift. That's the magic. I really believe that the kind of leadership that matters most right now is the kind that builds trust, inspires teams, and gets the real results. And it's not about being superhuman. It's about being human and leading with your heart, clarity, and courage. So thank you for spending your time with me here today. I'm really rooting for all of you here and hope you have a great rest of your first day of April.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. I'm jacked up and you're my leader. So it was definitely beneficial. I like this. So I don't think we had any questions or anything in the chat, but if you do have anything, go ahead and fire those off. And in the meantime, I will remind everybody that next May, we are going to have Barry Closser, who, if you haven't seen Barry speak, he is fantastic as well, but he's going to be speaking on the ROI of no and making a case not to build, giving leaders and teams tips on how to make strong evidence-based cases to move forward with an idea without losing trust. So it should be a very, very interesting one. Also, just as a reminder, there's going to be the pop-up of the survey that comes up here after you close out. So please fill that out. That really, really helps us know how we're doing and what we can do in the future as well. So that would be appreciated as well. I don't think I saw anything come through on the chat except for some good stuffs and thank yous and great little nuggets. So that's awesome. Very good.
So appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you all. Take care.